3 Things Successful People Do. By John C. Maxwell. The journey is more fun if you know where you're going. Several years ago, as I was thumbing through Success magazine, I came across a study that Gallup did on what people thought it meant to be a success. That appealed to me because I've always been interested in helping others to become successful, and I wanted to know what Gallup had gleaned. Their answers fell into 12 categories, but the number one answer was good health. 58% of the people identified that with success over anything else. I don't know about you, but I value good health, and after my heart attack I value it even more. But if I had only good health and nothing else, I don't know that I would label myself successful. I've discovered that people often find it hard to define success. But if you don't know what success is, how will you ever achieve it? That's why I want to help you identify a definition of success that will work for you. Success is a journey. Let me begin to illustrate by telling you a story. Several years ago, I stood before the 74 employees of invaluable, the organization I had founded in 1985 to teach leadership and personal development, and prepared to tell them some news that I knew would be exciting to some and discouraging to others. I was going to tell them that in a year's time, we would be moving the company from San Diego, California, to Atlanta, Georgia. My friend Dick Peterson, invaluable's president at the time, and I had been talking about the possibility of moving the company for about 6 months. It had begun as a casual what-if conversation, but then we started giving it more serious thought. We weighed the advantages and asked our director of finance to run some numbers. We talked about the opportunities that such a move would bring. And finally, we determined that moving to Atlanta made sense professionally, logistically, and economically. We knew that if we wanted to go to a new level in our growth and development, not only as a company, but as individuals, we needed to make the change. In many ways, that was a very tough decision. I never expected to leave San Diego. From the day we moved there from Indiana, my wife, Margaret, and I felt that it was home. It was the only home that our kids, Elizabeth and Joel Porter, had ever really known. But as much as we loved living in San Diego, we were willing to make the sacrifice of moving away so that we could achieve greater success. Our more serious concern was for the people on the invaluable team. We weren't sure how they would react. San Diego is one of the most beautiful cities in the country, and the weather is perfect. Many of our employees were San Diego natives, and they had a lot to keep them there. As I prepared to talk to the staff, there was a noisy energy in the room. All of us hadn't met as a group in almost a year, and I could see the excitement and anticipation in many of their faces. "Gang, I'd like to have your attention," I started. "I have a very important announcement to make. In 1 year from now, we will be moving invaluable to Atlanta." I saw a whole range of reactions. Some looked shocked. Others looked as if they had been punched in the stomach. Jane Hansen, one of our best customer service representatives, was wide-eyed as her chin dropped, and she coughed out a short breath in disbelief every 8 to 10 seconds for the first minute that I talked. From our managers I saw relief. They had been keeping their knowledge of the move secret for weeks. For 50 minutes, Dick Peterson and I explained all our reasons for the move, gave them stats and information on Atlanta, and showed them a video from the Atlanta Chamber of Commerce. And we told them that anyone who was willing to go to Atlanta would have a job when he or she got there. Then we introduced 2 people who had flown in from Atlanta's best real estate agency to answer questions. Willing to take the journey. We weren't sure what kind of reaction we would get from our staff. We were proposing a major move that would radically change their lives. What a surprise it was when more than 90% of the team said they would move or at least consider moving to Atlanta. They were willing to take the trip. That got me to thinking. Why were so many of them willing to be uprooted, leaving behind everything that was familiar, including family and friends, to move all the way across the country? I concluded that they were willing to go for 4 reasons. 1. We gave them a picture of where they were going. As Dick, the two real estate agents, and I spoke to our people, we gave them a picture of our future in Atlanta, the positive working environment, the greater number of lives that we would be able to touch, the improvement in their quality of life, and the opportunity that we as a company would have to go to the next level. They could see it all, the benefits to them personally and to the company. 2. We answered their questions. The prospect of taking a journey can create insecurity and lead to numerous questions. Our people wanted to know where we would be locating the office, what Atlanta's schools were like, the condition of the housing market, the cultural and entertainment attractions available in the city, the state tax structure, and so on. In that first meeting, we were able to answer nearly all of their questions. 3. They had experienced personal success in their lives. As a team, INJOY was experiencing success, and so were the individuals. They were responsible for the company's success and at the same time were enjoying the fruits of that success. They had a sense of purpose. They were growing personally. And they were helping others. 4. They were no longer the same and wanted to continue to have significance. A couple of weeks before we announced the move, I heard Patty Knoll, one of our employees, say, "I love working for INJOY, helping so many people through what we do. I can't imagine working anywhere else." Once a person has tasted success and realizes that her efforts have significance, it's something that she never forgets, and that she never wants to give up. Making a difference in the lives of others changes her outlook on life and her priorities. You may be saying to yourself, "That's great. It's good that your people wanted to move to Georgia. But what does that have to do with me? I'm not going on this trip to Atlanta." What about the definition of success? It's true that you may not be moving to Atlanta, but you are preparing to go on a journey, the journey of success, and that trip has the potential of taking you a long way, maybe farther than you've dreamed. To take it, you'll need the same things that our people at INJOY needed: a picture of where you're going, answers to your questions about success, knowledge of what success is like, and the ability to change and continue growing. It's my desire to provide these things for you in this book. I want to teach you what it means to be on the success journey, answer many of your questions, and equip you with what you'll need to change yourself and keep growing. In the process, you'll discover that success is for everyone: the homemaker and the business person, the student and the person approaching retirement, the athlete and the local church pastor, the factory worker and the entrepreneur. The traditional picture of success. The problem for most people who want to be successful is not that they can't achieve success. The main obstacle for them is that they misunderstand success. Malt B.D. Babcock said, "One of the most common mistakes and one of the costliest is thinking that success is due to some genius, some magic, something or other which we do not possess." What is success? What does it look like? Most people have a vague picture of what it means to be a successful person that looks something like this: the wealth of Bill Gates, the physique of Arnold Schwarzenegger or Cindy Crawford, the intelligence of Albert Einstein, the athletic ability of Michael Jordan, the creativity of Steve Jobs, the social grace and poise of Jackie Kennedy, the imagination of Walt Disney, and the heart of Mother Teresa. That sounds absurd, but it's closer to the truth than we would like to admit. Many of us picture success as looking like one other than who we are, and we especially can't be 8 other people. And more important than that, you shouldn't want to be. If you tried to become just like even one of these other people, you wouldn't be successful. You would be a bad imitation of them, and you would eliminate the possibility of becoming the person you were meant to be. The wrong picture of success. Even if you avoid the trap of thinking that success means being like some other person, you might still have a wrong picture of success. Frankly, the majority of people misunderstand it. They wrongly equate it with achievement of some sort, with arriving at a destination or attaining a goal. Here are several of the most common misconceptions about success. Wealth. Probably the most common misunderstanding about success is that it's the same as having money. A lot of people believe that if they accumulate wealth, they will be successful. But wealth does not bring contentment or success. Industrialist John D. Rockefeller, a man so rich that he gave away more than $350 million in his lifetime, was once asked how much money it would take to satisfy him. His reply, just a little bit more. King Solomon of ancient Israel, said to be not only the wisest but also the richest man who ever lived, asserted, "Whoever loves money never has money enough, whoever loves wealth is never satisfied with his income." 1. Wealth and what it brings are at best fleeting. For example, in 1923, a small group of the world's wealthiest men met at the Edgewater Beach Hotel in Chicago, Illinois. They were a who's who of wealth and power. At that time, they controlled more money than the total amount contained in the United States Treasury. Here is a list of who was there and what eventually happened to them. Charles Schwab, president of the largest independent steel company, died broke. Arthur Cutten, greatest of the wheat speculators, died abroad, insolvent. Richard Whitney, president of the New York Stock Exchange, died just after release from Sing Sing prison. Albert Fall, member of a U.S. president's cabinet, was pardoned from prison so that he could die at home. Jess Livermore, greatest bear on Wall Street, committed suicide. Leon Fraser, president of the Bank of International Settlements, committed suicide. Ivar Kreuger, head of the world's greatest monopoly, committed suicide. 2. Even Greek millionaire Aristotle Onassis, who retained his wealth and died at a ripe old age, recognized that money isn't the same as success. He maintained that after you reach a certain point, money becomes unimportant. What matters is success. A special feeling. Another common misconception is that people have achieved success when they feel successful or happy. But trying to feel successful is probably even more difficult than trying to become wealthy. The continual search for happiness is a primary reason that so many people are miserable. If you make happiness your goal, you are almost certainly destined to fail. You will be on a continual roller coaster, changing from successful to unsuccessful with every mood change. Life is uncertain, and emotions aren't stable. Happiness simply cannot be relied on as a measure of success. Specific and worthwhile possessions. Think back to when you were a kid. Chances are that there was a time when you wanted something badly, and you believed that if you possessed that thing, it would make a significant difference in your life. For me, it was a burgundy and silver Schwinn bicycle. One Christmas morning when I looked under the tree, I saw my vision of what a bicycle ought to be. That was back when bikes were bikes. They were solid as tanks. And mine had everything I could ever want on it: mud flaps, chrome, bells, lights, the works. For a while it was great. I loved that bike, and I spent a lot of time riding it. But I soon discovered that it didn't bring me the success or long-term contentment that I hoped for and expected. That process has repeated itself in my life. I found that success didn't come when I became a starter on my high school basketball team, when I became the student body president in college, or when I bought my first house. It has never come as the result of possessing something I wanted. Possessions are at best a temporary fix. Success cannot be attained or measured that way. Power. Charles McElroy once joked, "Power is usually recognized as an excellent short-term antidepressant." That statement contains a lot of truth because power often gives the appearance of success, but even then, it's only temporary. You've probably heard the quote from English historian Lord Acton, "Power tends to corrupt and absolute power corrupts absolutely." Power really is a test of character. In the hands of a person of integrity, it is of tremendous benefit. In the hands of a tyrant, it causes terrible destruction. By itself, power is neither positive nor negative. And it is not the source of security or success. Besides, all dictators, even benevolent ones, eventually lose power. Achievement. Many people have what I call destination disease. They believe that if they can arrive somewhere, attain a position, accomplish a goal, or have a relationship with the right person, they will be successful. At one time, I had a similar view of success. I defined it as the progressive realization of a predetermined, worthwhile goal. But over time I realized that the definition fell short of the mark. Simply achieving goals doesn't guarantee success or contentment. Look at what happened with Michael Jordan. In 1993, he decided to retire from basketball, saying that he had accomplished all the goals he had wanted to achieve. And then he went on to play baseball in the minor leagues, but not for long. He couldn't stay away from the game of basketball, and he came out of retirement 2 times to play several more years. Playing the game, being in the midst of the process, was the thing. You see, success isn't a list of goals to be checked off one after another. It's not reaching a destination. Success is a journey. The right picture of success. So how do you get started on the success journey? What does it take to be a success? 2 things are required: the right picture of success and the right principles for getting there. The picture of success isn't the same for any 2 people because we're all created differently as unique individuals. But the process is the same for everyone. It's based on principles that do not change. After more than 25 years of knowing successful people and studying the subject, I have developed the following definition of success. Success is knowing your purpose in life, growing to reach your maximum potential, and sowing seeds that benefit others. You can see by this definition why success is a journey rather than a destination. No matter how long you live or what you decide to do in life, you will never exhaust your capacity to grow toward your potential or run out of opportunities to help others. When you see success as a journey, you'll never have the problem of trying to arrive at an elusive final destination. And you'll never find yourself in a position where you have accomplished some final goal, only to discover that you're still unfulfilled and searching for something else to do. Another benefit of focusing on the journey of success instead of on arriving at a destination or achieving a goal is that you have the potential to become a success today. The very moment that you make the shift to finding your purpose, growing to your potential, and helping others, successful is something you are right now, not something you vaguely hope one day to be. To get a better handle on these aspects of success, let's take a look at each one of them. Knowing your purpose. Nothing can take the place of knowing your purpose. Millionaire industrialist Henry J. Kaiser, the founder of Kaiser Aluminum as well as the Kaiser Permanente healthcare system, said, "The evidence is overwhelming that you cannot begin to achieve your best unless you set some aim in life." Or put another way, if you don't try actively to discover your purpose, you're likely to spend your life doing the wrong things. I believe that God created every person for a purpose. According to psychologist Viktor Frankl, everyone has his own specific vocation or mission in life. Everyone must carry out a concrete assignment that demands fulfillment. Therein he cannot be replaced, nor can his life be repeated. Thus everyone's task is as unique as his specific opportunity to implement it. Each of us has a purpose for which we were created. Our responsibility, and our greatest joy, is to identify it. Here are some questions to ask yourself to help you identify your purpose. For what am I searching? All of us have a strong desire buried in our hearts, something that speaks to our deepest thoughts and feelings, something that sets our souls on fire. Some people have a strong sense of what that is when they're just children. Others take half a lifetime to discover it. But no matter what, it's there. You only need to find it. I'll talk more about how to develop the dream that's within you in the next chapter. Why was I created? Each of us is different. No one else in the world has exactly the same gifts, talents, background, or future. That's one of the reasons it would be a serious mistake for you to try to be someone other than yourself. Think about your unique mix of abilities, the resources available to you, your personal history, and the opportunities around you. If you objectively identify these factors and discover the desire of your heart, you will have done a lot toward discovering your purpose in life. do I believe in my potential? You cannot consistently act in a manner inconsistent with the way you see yourself. If you don't believe that you have potential, you will never try to reach it. And if you aren't willing to work toward reaching your potential, you will never be successful. Growing to your potential. Novelist H.G. Wells held that wealth, notoriety, place, and power are no measures of success whatsoever. The only true measure of success is the ratio between what we might have been and what we have become. In other words, success comes as the result of growing to our potential. It's been said that our potential is God's gift to us, and what we do with it is our gift to Him. But at the same time, our potential is probably our greatest untapped resource. Henry Ford observed, "There is no man living who isn't capable of doing more than he thinks he can do." We have nearly limitless potential, yet too few ever try to reach it. Why? The answer lies in this: we can do anything, but we can't do everything. Many people let everyone around them decide their agendas in life. As a result, they never really dedicate themselves to their purpose in life. They become a jack of all trades, master of none, rather than a jack of few trades, focused on one. If that describes you more than you'd like, you're probably ready to take steps to make a change. Here are 4 principles to put you on the road to growing toward your potential. 1. Concentrate on one main goal. Nobody ever reached her potential by scattering herself in 20 directions. Reaching your potential requires focus. That's why it's so important for you to discover your purpose. Once you've decided where to focus your attention, you must decide what you are willing to give up to do it. And that's crucial. There can be no success without sacrifice. The two go hand in hand. If you desire to accomplish little, sacrifice little. But if you want to accomplish great things, be willing to sacrifice much. 2. Concentrate on continual improvement. David D. Glass, Chief Executive Officer of Walmart Stores, was once asked whom he admired most. His answer was Walmart founder Sam Walton. He remarked, "There's never been a day in his life, since I've known him, that he didn't improve in some way." Commitment to continual improvement is the key to reaching your potential and to being successful. Each day you can become a little bit better than you were yesterday. It puts you one step closer to your potential. And you'll also find that what you get as the result of your growth is not nearly as important as what you become along the way. 3. Forget the past. My friend Jack Hayford, founding pastor of Church on the Way in Van Nuys, California, commented, "The past is a dead issue, and we can't gain any momentum moving toward tomorrow if we are dragging the past behind us." Unfortunately, that's what too many people do. They drag the past with them wherever they go. And as a result, they never make any progress. Maybe you've made a lot of mistakes in your life, or you've had an especially difficult past with many obstacles. Work your way through it and move on. Don't let it prevent you from reaching your potential. If you need inspiration, think of other people who overcame seemingly insurmountable obstacles, such as Booker T. Washington. He was born into slavery and was denied access to the resources available to white society, but he never let that prevent him from pursuing his potential. He founded the Tuskegee Institute and the National Black Business League. He said, "I have learned that success is to be measured not so much by the position that one has reached in life as by the obstacles which one has overcome while trying to succeed." No doubt, you can think of others who have overcome tragedies or past mistakes to pursue their potential. You may even know personally some people who fought back from adversity to become successful. Let them inspire you. No matter what you faced in the past, you have the potential to overcome it. 4. Focus on the future. Baseball Hall of Famer Yogi Berra declared, "The future isn't what it used to be." Although that may be true, it's still the only place we have to go. Your potential lies ahead of you, whether you're 8, 18, 48, or 80. You still have room to improve yourself. Sowing seeds that benefit others. When you know your purpose in life and are growing to reach your maximum potential, you're well on your way to being a success. But there is one more essential part of the success journey: helping others. Without that aspect, the journey can be a lonely and shallow experience. It's been said that we make a living by what we get, but we make a life by what we give. Physician, theologian, and philosopher Albert Schweitzer stated it even more strongly: the purpose of human life is to serve, and to show compassion and the will to help others. For him, the success journey led to Africa, where he served people for many years. For you, sowing seeds that benefit others probably won't mean traveling to another country to serve the poor, unless that is the purpose you were born to fulfill. And if it is, you won't be satisfied until that's what you're doing. However, if you're like most people, helping others is something you can do right here at home, whether it's spending more time with your family, developing an employee who shows potential, helping people in the community, or putting your desires on hold for the sake of your team at work. The key is to find your purpose and help others while you're pursuing it. Entertainer Danny Thomas insisted that all of us are born for a reason, but all of us don't discover why. Success in life has nothing to do with what you gain in life or accomplish for yourself. It's what you do for others. The success journey will not look the same for everyone because the picture of success is different for every person. But the principles used to take the journey don't change. They can be applied at home, in school, at the office, on the ball field, and in church. That's what the remainder of this book is about: the principles that can help you work toward knowing your purpose, growing to your potential, and sowing seeds that benefit others. It doesn't matter where you are now. You can learn and apply these ideas. You can be successful today. Please allow me to guide you, so you can also know what it means to take the success journey. You'll never look at success the same way again, and your life will be changed forever. You'll agree with columnist Whit Hobbs, who wrote, "Success is waking up in the morning, whoever you are, wherever you are, however old or young, and bounding out of bed because there's something out there that you love to do, that you believe in, that you're good at, something that's bigger than you are, and you can hardly wait to get at it again today." Come on. Let's get started. Part 1. Knowing your purpose. Where would I like to go? As I began working on this book, I set aside some time to talk to a dozen or so friends, family members, and colleagues to find out their thoughts about travel. One of the things I asked them was where they would go if they could take a trip to anywhere in the world. They gave me quite a variety of answers. Jane Hansen wanted to return to Heidelberg, Germany. She had spent 3 years in various parts of Germany with her husband, Brad, and she particularly loved the people, gorgeous sights, and food in Heidelberg. It held warm memories for her. Miriam Phillips said she wanted to go to Australia to explore the outback and see some of the unusual animals. She especially wanted to see koalas in person. Miriam thought the trip would be an adventure. Charlie Wetzel said he wanted to go to England to see the places tied to the history and literature he studied in school: the Tower of London, Fleet Street, the site of the Battle of Hastings, and the Lake Country. Seeing them in person would bring vividly to life many of the memorable stories he had read. I enjoyed talking with them about their dreams for travel. Their eyes lit up and their speech quickened as they pictured in their minds the places they would see and the activities they would do. I also asked them another question: why hadn't they taken their dream trips? A couple of people said they didn't want to go alone and were waiting until they found a traveling companion. Many of them said they didn't have the money. Others noted that they lacked the time. It's been my experience that we make time and set aside money for the things that are most important to us. All of the people who go on their dream trips don't have unlimited money and time. They make the journey because they plan ahead and they're willing to pay whatever price is required for them to go. Now let me ask you a similar question: if you could go anywhere, where would you like to go? Not in terms of vacations, but in your life. Your answer to that question does a lot to determine whether or not you're successful. You see, we're all on a journey, whether we know it or not. We are traveling inevitably toward the ends of our lives. So the real question for us is whether we're going to select a destination and steer a course for it, or allow ourselves to be swept along with the tide, letting others determine where we'll end up. The choice is entirely up to us. A cruise to nowhere. If you live in a town near the ocean, you may have seen advertisements for cruises to nowhere. People get on board a cruise ship, and when they leave the pier, instead of setting out for a lush island or other exotic location, they go out to sea and travel in circles for a couple of days. Meanwhile, they dine on sumptuous meals, lounge around the pool, enjoy the shows, and participate in onboard activities. It's similar to checking into a fine hotel or resort. The problem for a lot of people is that their lives are too much like those cruises. They're on a trip with no set destination, no charted course. They're in a holding pattern, and they occupy their time pursuing pleasures or engaging in activities that don't have any lasting benefit for themselves or others. Meanwhile, they travel in circles. In the end, they finish no better than they started. A cruise to nowhere may be a fun way to occupy a few days of vacation time, but it's no way to spend your life. As I mentioned before, success is a journey. You don't suddenly become successful when you arrive at a particular place or achieve a certain goal. But that doesn't mean you should travel without identifying a destination. You can't fulfill your purpose and grow toward your potential if you don't know what direction you should be going. You need to identify and sail toward your destination. In other words, you need to discover your dream. The power of a dream. I believe that each of us has a dream placed in the heart. I'm talking about a vision deep inside that speaks to the very soul. It's the thing we were born to do. It draws on our talents and gifts. It appeals to our highest ideals. It sparks our feelings of destiny. It is inseparably linked to our purpose in life. The dream starts us on the success journey. When I look for the name of a person who identified and lived out his dream, I think of auto industry pioneer and visionary Henry Ford. He asserted, "The whole secret of a successful life is to find out what it is one's destiny to do, and then do it." Ford's dream grew out of his interest in anything mechanical. From boyhood, he had a passion for studying and tinkering with machinery. He taught himself about steam engines, clocks, and combustion engines. He traveled around the countryside doing repair work for free, just so he could get his hands on machines. He became a mechanic and watchmaker. He even worked as a night engineer for the Detroit Edison Company. Ford became increasingly intrigued by the idea of the automobile, and he devoted more and more of his attention to it. In 1896, he built his first car in a shed behind his house. After that, he continued to think about how to improve his early efforts, and he studied the work of other car builders, including that of Ransom E. Olds, who manufactured the first Oldsmobile in 1900. Out of his love for machinery and intrigue over the automobile grew Ford's dream, the creation of an inexpensive, mass-produced automobile. Until then, the new horseless carriage had been an expensive luxury item, available to only the rich. But Ford was determined to put the automobile within the reach of the common person. In 1899, he helped form the Detroit Motor Company. But when his fellow organizers balked at the idea of manufacturing their product inexpensively in order to sell it to the masses, he left the company. However, he held on to his dream, and his efforts finally paid off. In 1903, he organized the Ford Motor Company and began to produce the Model T. The first year his new company produced just under 6,000 cars. But only 8 years later, they produced more than 500,000. And they managed to reduce the initial retail price from $850 to only $360. Ford's dream became a reality. Ford has been called a genius and has been credited with the birth of the assembly line and mass production. But no matter what he had going for him, his asset was his dream and his willingness to devote himself to it. A dream does many things for us. A dream gives us direction. Have you ever known a person who didn't have a clue concerning what she wanted in life, yet was highly successful? I haven't either. We all need something worthwhile to aim for. A dream provides us with that. It acts as a compass, telling us the direction we should travel. And until we've identified that right direction, we'll never know for sure that our movement is actually progress. Our actions are just as likely to take us backward instead of forward. If you move in any direction other than toward your dream, you'll miss out on the opportunities necessary to be successful. A dream increases our potential. Without a dream, we may struggle to see potential in ourselves because we don't look beyond our current circumstances. But with a dream, we begin to see ourselves in a new light, as having greater potential and being capable of stretching and growing to reach it. Every opportunity we meet, every resource we discover, every talent we develop, becomes a part of our potential to grow toward that dream. The greater the dream, the greater the potential. A dream helps us prioritize. A dream gives us hope for the future, and it also brings us power in the present. It makes it possible for us to prioritize everything we do. A person who has a dream knows what he is willing to give up in order to go up. He is able to measure everything he does according to whether or not it contributes to the dream, concentrating his attention on the things that bring him closer to it and giving less attention to everything that doesn't. A dream adds value to our work. A dream puts everything we do into perspective. Even the tasks that aren't exciting or immediately rewarding take on added value when we know they ultimately contribute to the fulfillment of a dream. Each activity becomes an important piece in that bigger picture. It reminds me of the story of a reporter who talked to 3 construction workers pouring concrete at a building site. "What are you doing?" he asked the first worker. "I'm earning a paycheck," he grumbled. The reporter asked the same question of a second laborer, who looked over his shoulder and said, "What's it look like I'm doing?" "I'm pouring concrete." Then he noticed a third man who was smiling and whistling as he worked. "What are you doing?" he asked the third worker. He stopped what he was doing and said excitedly, "I'm building a shelter for the homeless." He wiped his hands clean on a rag and then pointed. "Look, over there is where the kitchen will be. And that over there is the women's dormitory. This here." Each man was doing the same job. But only the third was motivated by a larger vision. The work he did was fulfilling a dream, and it added value to all his efforts. Vince Lombardi stated, "I firmly believe that any man's finest hour, his greatest fulfillment to all he holds dear, is that moment when he has worked his heart out in a good cause and lies exhausted on the field of battle, victorious." A dream provides the perspective that makes that kind of effort possible. Stages for developing a dream. Over the years I've learned a lot about vision and what it means to have a dream because it's such a critical part of leadership. I've observed that there is a big difference between those who dream and those who make their dreams come true. As Nolan Bushnell, founder of Atari, said, "Everyone gets an idea in the shower. But the successful ones get out of the shower, dry off, and do something about it." Here are the stages in developing a successful dream, based on my personal experience and observation. I thought it. The whole process begins with the seed of an idea, a vision that grows out of a heartfelt desire. Many people discover their dream in a flash of insight after working in an area for years. Some receive it in a time of prayer. Others are motivated by an event from their past. Maybe you've already experienced the "I thought it" stage and discovered your dream. If you haven't, read the following 4 steps that will help you clear away the clutter and discover, or fine-tune, your dream. 1. Believe in your ability to succeed. As I said before, no person can consistently perform in a manner that is inconsistent with the way he sees himself. You must believe that you can succeed if you are to succeed. You must acknowledge to yourself that you're capable of discovering your dream in order to find it. You don't have to be a genius, lucky, or rich. You just need to believe it can happen. 2. Get rid of your pride. people full of themselves usually don't have much room left over for a life-changing dream. That's why it's so important to get rid of pride. It can keep you from trying new things or asking questions because you are afraid of looking stupid. It makes you want to stay in your comfort zone instead of striving for the end zone. Pride puts your focus on appearance instead of potential. And it prevents you from taking risks, something you must do to discover your dream. If you are a prideful person, it's time to let go of your pride and grab hold of your dream. 3. Cultivate constructive discontent. Discontent is the driving force that makes people search for their dreams. Think about it, every invention registered in the United States Patent Office is the result of creative discontent. Each inventor, not satisfied with something as it was, found a way to constructively overcome her dissatisfaction, either by creating something new or by improving what already existed. The same is true for you. Complacency never brings success. You must desire positive change. Only constructive discontent will motivate you to find your purpose and grow to reach your potential. 4. Escape from habit. A habit can be defined as something you do without thinking. Habit can kill a dream because when you stop thinking, you stop questioning and dreaming. You begin to accept what is without considering what could be. Habit can cause you to go through the motions rather than think about the possibilities. It slowly closes the door on potential. Examine all the things you're currently doing by rote. Then shake things up. Look to your horizons. What do you really care about? What are you currently doing that doesn't propel you in the direction of your purpose, develop your potential, or help other people? Start making changes. Be creative. Break out of a rut and start searching inside yourself for your dream. I caught it. The moment you discover your dream, the thing you were created to do, is an incredible experience. But that alone is not enough to take you on the success journey. The development of a successful dream is a process. And the next step of development requires you to invest in your dream emotionally. It needs to grow beyond your thoughts and carry over into your feelings. I sought it. An old Italian proverb says, "Between saying and doing, many a pair of shoes is worn out." Lots of people have dreams. And many of them have strong feelings about them. But what separates the developer of a successful dream from a mere daydreamer is committed action. Between I caught it and I sought it stages, dreams don't die, they fade away. It takes hunger, tenacity, and commitment to see a dream through until it becomes reality. Once you discover your dream, go after it. A few shot it. If a dream faces the risk of fading away before it gets to the I sought it stage, then the danger after that stage is that it will be suddenly and deliberately shot down. During its early stages, a dream is an incredibly fragile thing. As corporate leadership expert, management consultant, and friend Bob Beal says, dreams are like soap bubbles floating close to jagged rocks on a windy day. Dreams are so fragile at this stage of the journey because they are so new. We haven't had time yet to let them grow or develop. They're not established, and they don't have a track record yet. When a seedling oak is only a year old, a child can tear it out by the roots. But once it's had some time to become firmly established, even the force of a hurricane can't knock it down. Dreams are also more easily shot down at this point because if they are attacked, close friends or family members are the usual attackers since they're the only ones who know about them. Our hopes and desires may be able to weather the criticism of a stranger, but they have a more difficult time surviving when undermined by a loved one. I got it. Most people have no idea how close they are to breaking through and living their dreams, to reaching the I got it stage. Success is achieved in inches, not miles. For example, the average baseball player in Major League Baseball hits about .250. Another way to say it is that he gets a hit once for every 4 times he bats. Someone with average fielding skills who bats .250 can play in the major leagues, but he probably won't be remembered after he has left the game. Contrast that with someone like Tony Gwynn, who spent his entire career with the San Diego Padres. He is considered one of the best hitters in baseball. He won 8 National League batting championships in the 20 seasons he played. And on August 6, 2000, he became the 22nd player in history to collect 3,000 hits. In 2007, he was elected to the National Baseball Hall of Fame in Cooperstown, New York. If you didn't know baseball, you might expect that in order to be as successful as he was, he would be twice as good at hitting the ball as the average player. But that's not the case. Tony had a lifetime batting average of .338. That means he got a hit 1 in every 3 times at bat. You would have to go to 3 baseball games before you saw the 1 extra hit Tony got compared to the average player hitting .250. Your ability to live your dream may be closer than you think. You need dedication and perseverance, and you have to survive the doubts and criticisms of people closest to you, but you can make it to the I got it stage. And when you do, you'll share the opinion of Super Bowl winning quarterback Joe Namath, who said, "When you win, nothing hurts." Some others fought it. Unfortunately, not everyone will want to celebrate with you when your dream begins to become a reality. I think you'll find that people will fall into 2 groups. 1. Firefighters. These people want to put out the fire that you have for your dream. No matter what you're for, they're against it. The way these kinds of people criticize everything, you'd think they get paid for it. And nothing you do or say can change their attitude. 2. Firelighters. These people want to help you and are willing to do what they can to stoke the flames of your success even higher. When you're trying to realize your dream, sometimes you'll be surprised by which people want to light your fire and which ones want to put it out. Some people you consider friends will fight your success. Others will support you in ways you didn't expect. But no matter which people criticize you or how they do it, don't let them take your focus off your dream. I taught it. Any dream worth living is worth sharing with others. After all, that's a big part of what it means to be successful. But that's not how everyone looks at it. I've observed that when people realize their dream, they react in one of 2 ways. Some hold the dream close, trying to keep all of it for themselves. When they do, their dream often shrinks. Because they haven't shared it, they have to sustain it all by themselves. Everything depends on them. They don't get the help of others, the benefits of teamwork, or the joy of sharing their blessings. But the person who shares her dream gets to watch it grow. The synergy of shared ideas often takes it to a whole new level. The dream becomes greater than the person launching it ever imagined it could be. And the others who participate in it often adopt it as their own dream. When you are willing to share the dream by including others, there is almost no limit to what you can accomplish. The impossible comes within reach. Others bought it. If you live your dream and successfully share it, others will buy into it. People have a desire to follow a leader with a great dream. Now more than ever, people are looking for heroes. Unfortunately, many are looking in places that are likely to leave them disappointed: sports, music, movies, and television. But real heroes are leaders who can help others achieve success, people who take others with them. And it all begins with a dream. As Winifred Newman said, vision is the world's most desperate need. There are no hopeless situations, only people who think hopelessly. When I was a pastor, I did many things to share my dream with others. For a while, I even carried copies of a card that I would give to people to remind them of the importance of the dream and how much I wanted them to be a part of it. Here's what it said. I have a dream. History tells us that in every age there comes a time when leaders must come forth to meet the needs of the hour. Therefore, there is no potential leader who does not have an opportunity to better mankind. Those around them also have that same privilege. Fortunately, I believe that God has surrounded me with those who will accept the challenge of this hour. My dream allows me to give up at any moment all that I am in order to receive all that I can become. Sense the invisible so I can do the impossible. Trust God's resources since the dream is bigger than all my abilities and acquaintances. Continue when discouraged, for where there is no faith in the future, there is no power in the present. Attract winners because big dreams draw big people. See myself and my people in the future. Our dream is the promise of what we shall one day be. Yes, I have a dream. It's a God-given one. It is greater than any of my gifts. It is as large as the world, but it begins with one. Won't you join me? Go for the dream. If you haven't already discovered your dream, you're probably realizing how much you've been missing. A dream will provide you with a reason to go, a path to follow, and a target to hit. Besides, as Yogi Berra remarked, if you don't know where you are going, you might wind up someplace else. Wouldn't you say it's about time you got started? Several years ago, I saw a segment on television's 60 Minutes in which then anchor Mike Wallace was interviewing one of the Sherpa guides from Nepal who helps climbers reach the top of Mount Everest. Why do you do it? Wallace asked. To help others do something they cannot do on their own, answered the guide. But there are so many risks, so many dangers, said Wallace. Why do you insist on taking people to the top of the mountain? The guide smiled and said, it's obvious that you've never been to the top. Going to the top takes a dream and a strong commitment. The greater the journey, the more committed you have to be to take it. As you prepare to continue on your success journey, make a commitment to yourself to find your dream and follow it. The road that lies before you is one that I know well because I made that commitment and have traveled on the journey for more than 40 years. I will travel alongside you until you are ready to carry on without me. But no matter how much help I can give, you won't make it without a commitment. Take a look at the statement below. Examine what it will mean to commit yourself to the journey, and sign it. Then be prepared to begin living your dream. Commitment to the success journey. I commit myself today to being successful. I recognize that success is a process, not a destination. I will discover my dream and do what I can to know my purpose in life, grow to reach my maximum potential, and sow seeds that benefit others. Although the road may get bumpy, and it may require me to learn a new way of looking at life, I will do what it takes and persevere. I will take the success journey. Signature. Date. The potential for greatness lives within each of us. The key to achieving greatness is found when we discover and then develop our dreams. You are on your way. Steps to take along the way. Where would I like to go? To get started on the success journey, the first step you need to take is to discover your dream. Set aside a block of time, several hours on a weekend or maybe even a day off from work or away from the kids, to work through the following material as honestly as you can. 1. My past. No dream grows out of a vacuum. It grows out of a life. Henry Ford said, before anything else, getting ready is the secret of success. Whether you know it or not, your life has been preparing you for your dream. Answer these questions to see how you've been prepared. A. What are my greatest talents? Your response. B. What is my greatest character strength? Your response. C. What do others who have nothing to gain say that I'm good at? Your response. D. What have my unique life experiences prepared me to do? Your response. E. What is my greatest passion, the thing I love doing so much that I would gladly do it for free? Your response. F. What is so important to me that I would be willing to die for it? Your response. 2. My present. Some people look at their current circumstances and become discouraged because they're not where they want to be. But looking at the present is part of the process of discovering your dream. Answer the following questions to help you see the potential of the present. A. What are all of my current resources? Include time, money, people, opportunities, etc. Your response. B. What current circumstances can I positively change to free up more resources or create more opportunities? Your response. C. What is unique to my current circumstances, my place in history, where I live, where I work, the people I know? Your response. 3. My future. I hope that you're beginning to see a pattern created by your past and present circumstances. Now it's time you asked yourself, if I could be anything I wanted, what would I be? Write that answer here. In later chapters, we will talk about what it will take to start moving you closer to achieving your dream. Whenever I travel to Washington, D.C., I try my best to get to the Smithsonian Institution. Of all the exhibits, my favorite shows a video clip of a speech made by President John F. Kennedy to Congress on May 25, 1961. Every time I see it, I get goosebumps. It records the moment that Kennedy called America to execute the most incredible and improbable real-life journey ever conceived. He cast the vision for the achievement of an idea that had been written about as early as AD 160 by Greek satirist Lucian of Samosata and thought about for 1800 years since then. Kennedy said, "I believe that this nation should commit itself to achieving the goal before the decade is out, of landing a man on the moon and returning him safely to Earth." Back in the late 1950s and early 1960s, America was in a space race with the Soviet Union, and we were falling way behind. I was about 10 years old when we heard that the USSR had launched the first satellite, Sputnik, into orbit. It felt like going to bed one night as the best athlete in your school and waking up the next morning only to find out that Babe Ruth was the new kid in class. What a shock! Then they launched Sputnik 2, which carried the first space traveler, Lake of the Dog. And in 1959, they sent off Luna I, the first spacecraft to escape the Earth's gravitational field and fly by the moon. The Soviets seemed to be landing one knockout punch after another. They also sent the first man into space, and one of their ships made the first orbit of the Earth. The Soviets were winning. In the midst of the hopelessness of the situation, President John F. Kennedy came forward, stood before the United States Congress, and said we would see a man on the moon by the end of the decade. Most people thought it was impossible. Even some of the people running NASA thought it couldn't be done. The technology required to make it happen didn't exist, and they weren't sure that it could exist. But that didn't stop Kennedy. He not only made the impossible our goal, but he gave it a deadline. Despite all the doubts, on July 16, 1969, Apollo 1 lifted off from Pad 39 at Kennedy Space Center and began a journey of 244,930 miles to the moon. 4 days later, Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin Jr. landed the lunar module Eagle on the surface of the moon, and 500 million people watched on television as Armstrong took his first step into the powder-fine gray dust of the moon and uttered his famous line, "That's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind." We had done it. We had achieved the impossible. It's unfortunate that President Kennedy didn't live to see it. Your attitude determines your altitude. That trip shouldn't have been possible, but it happened. Incredibly, the Soviets, and now the Russians, who were so far ahead of us in 1961, still have not put anyone on the moon. What propelled us to accomplish such a feat, and in record time? It wasn't the strength of our technology or the Cold War threat of Soviet superiority. We put people on the moon because we believed we could do it. In the blink of an eye, John F. Kennedy's speech took the idea of a lunar landing from an impossible dream to an obtainable target. It hardly mattered where we were technologically. A moon landing became a reality because of a change in attitude. You see, when our attitudes outdistance our abilities, even the impossible becomes possible. I've talked to people who worked in the space program, and they have told me that the atmosphere was electric with expectation back then. Every day as they worked, one thought was foremost in their minds: we're putting a man on the moon. The president's goal contained the dream and prompted the positive attitude needed to make it happen. That's the power of a dream coupled with the right attitude. If you have one without the other, you can't go very far on the journey. A dream without a positive attitude produces a daydreamer. A positive attitude without a dream produces a pleasant person who can't progress. A dream together with a positive attitude produces a person with unlimited possibilities and potential. To go far, and in the right direction, you need both. Kennedy knew that. A dream by itself won't do it. In fact, your attitude isn't just a necessary contributor for you to be successful. Your attitude, not intelligence, talent, education, technical ability, opportunity, or even hard work, is the main factor that determines whether you will live your dream. Attitude determines how far you can go on the success journey. Who and where you are today result from your attitude. Your attitude not only directs your future but also affects who you are today. The choices you've made up to now have come as the result of your attitude. Your attitude determines your actions, and your actions determine your accomplishment. You may or may not like to think about it, but the person you are and where you are today are the result of your attitude. When you're born, everything is out of your control. You don't choose who your biological parents are, when and where you're born, or any of your circumstances. But as you grow older, you start making decisions, and you become accountable for what happens in your life. In adolescence, the number of decisions you make multiplies, and by about the time you reach the end of your second decade, your choices are all your own, whether you like to admit it or not. Right now, if you're over 21, you're completely responsible for your choices and your attitude. Your current attitude is a choice. Most people with bad attitudes usually point to something other than themselves to explain their problems. But you can't rightfully blame your attitude on anything or anyone but yourself. It's not what happens to you but what happens in you that counts. Your attitude is not based on circumstances. You may not be able to control what happens to you, but you are completely responsible for your reaction to what happens to you. Upbringing. The past is gone and outside your control. You are responsible for not allowing it to control you in the present. Limitations. Since everyone faces limitations of some kind, whether lack of talent, limited money, few opportunities, or poor appearance, you need to learn to live with them. As Robert Schuller said, your limitations should be guidelines, not stop signs. They should direct and guide your path on the journey, not prevent you from taking it. Others. No one but you is responsible for the choices you make today. You may have been hurt or abused in the past, but it's up to you to overcome that injury, just as you would a physical one, and move beyond it. The truth is that anyone, no matter how good the circumstances are, can find a reason to have a negative attitude. And everyone, no matter how bad the circumstances are, can find a way to maintain a good attitude. In his book Go for the Magic, Pat Williams recounted a story told by St. Louis sports writer Bob Brogue about Baseball Hall of Fame player Stan Musial, who was known as one of the game's most consistent players. One day when Musial was playing for the St. Louis Cardinals, a teammate came into the clubhouse whistling. He turned to Stan and said, "I feel great. My home life is happy. I'm in a groove. I feel like I'm going to get 2 hits today. Ever feel like that, Stan?" Smiling, Musial looked at him and said, "Every day. One of the greatest discoveries you can ever make is that you can change. No matter where you were yesterday or how negative your attitudes have been in the past, you can be more positive today. And that makes an incredible difference in your potential and your life." Your attitude determines how you approach the journey. Several years ago, an experiment was performed in a school in the San Francisco Bay Area. A principal called in 3 teachers and said, "Because you 3 teachers are the finest in the system and you have the greatest expertise, we're going to give you 90 selected high IQ students. We're going to let you move these students through this next year at their pace and see how much they can learn." The 3 faculty members, the students, and the students' parents thought it was a great idea. And they all especially enjoyed the school year. By the time school ended, the students had achieved from 20 to 30% more than the other students in the entire San Francisco Bay Area. At the end of the year, the principal called in the 3 teachers and told them, "I have a confession to make. You did not have 90 of the most intellectually prominent students. They were run-of-the-mill students. We took 90 students at random from the system and gave them to you. The teachers naturally concluded that their exceptional teaching skills must have been responsible for the students' great progress. I have another confession, said the principal. You're not the brightest of the teachers. Your names were the first 3 drawn out of a hat. Why, then, did the students and teachers perform at such an exceptional level for an entire year? The answer can be found in their attitudes. They had an attitude of positive expectation. The teachers and students believed in themselves and one another. They performed well because they believed they could point one. Your attitude toward life determines life's attitude toward you. How you think affects your approach to the success journey in a powerful way. What I believe about life determines how I perceive life, which determines what I receive from life. If you expect the worst, you will certainly get it. If you expect the best, even when negative circumstances come your way, and they will, because a positive attitude doesn't stop them, you can make the best of it and keep going. The better your attitude is, the farther you will go. If you talk to people in the top organizations across the country, the higher you go, the better the attitudes you'll discover. A Fortune 500 study found that 94% of all the executives surveyed attributed their success more to attitude than any other factor. Point 2 That just goes to show you that if you want to go far, have a good attitude. Attitude affects more than just your ability to succeed in business. It affects every aspect of your life, even your health. I once read an article about a study at King's College Hospital in London, England. It was conducted among cancer patients who had undergone mastectomies. Researchers at the hospital tracked the progress of 57 women. Of the ones who had a positive attitude when they were diagnosed with cancer, 7 out of 10 were alive 10 years later. But of the ones who felt a sense of hopelessness during diagnosis, 8 of 10 had died. Point 3 And ongoing medical research continues to present similar findings. You can go a lot farther in life and live longer with a good attitude than you can without one. Your attitude means the difference between success and failure. A good attitude makes it possible for you to be successful. It gives you fuel so that you want to pursue your purpose, grow to your potential, and sow seeds benefiting others. It can give you the staying power to improve. But it also makes the journey more enjoyable along the way, no matter where it takes you. As former UCLA basketball coach John Wooden said, things turn out the best for the people who make the best of the way things turn out. A while back I was playing golf with my friend Zig Ziglar, one of the most positive people I've ever met. And he told me a story about a boy named Jeb. Every day when Jeb was growing up, his mother would come into his room and wake him at 5:30, saying, "Jeb, it's going to be a great day." But that wasn't what the boy wanted to hear at that time in the morning. It was his job every day to go outside first thing and get coal to start the fire and heat the house. And he hated it. One day when she came in and said, "It's going to be a great day," Jeb snapped, "No, Mom, it's going to be a lousy day. I'm tired. The house is cold. And I don't want to get up and get the coal. It's a crummy day." "Sweetheart," she replied, "I didn't know you felt that way. Why don't you just go back to bed and get some more sleep?" Jeb thought he had hit pay dirt. Why didn't I think of this before, he asked himself. He woke up about 2 hours later. The house was warm, and he could smell breakfast cooking. He rolled out of bed, put on his clothes, and went out to the kitchen table. "Boy, am I hungry," he said. "I'm all rested up. Breakfast is already cooked. This is great." "Sweetheart," his mother said, "you don't get any food today. Remember how you said it was going to be a terrible day? As your mother, I'm going to do my best to make it a terrible day for you. You go back to your bedroom and stay there all day. You're not allowed to come out, and you don't get anything to eat. I'll see you tomorrow morning at 5:30. Jeb walked dejectedly back to his room and got into bed. And he was able to go back to sleep for about an hour. But there was only so much sleeping a person could do. He spent the day moping around his room, getting hungrier and hungrier. And when it finally got dark, he went back to bed again and tried to sleep. He woke up hours before daylight, and he put on his clothes. He was sitting on the edge of the bed when his mother opened the door to his room at 5:30. Before she could say a word, Jeb jumped up and said, "Mom, it's going to be a great day." What was true for Jeb is also true for you. You can change your attitude. You may not be able to change other things about yourself, but you can definitely make your attitude more positive. If you try, you'll soon discover that the best helping hand is at the end of your own arm. 7 signs of a great attitude. What does it mean to have a great attitude? You've probably heard the old expression that a positive person sees a glass as half full instead of half empty. That's true, but it tells only a small part of the story. I believe positive people share 7 qualities. 1. Belief in self. Herb True observed, many people succeed when others do not believe in them. But rarely does a person succeed when he does not believe in himself. He was exactly right. Positive self-worth is a prime characteristic of a person with a good attitude. Anyone who doesn't believe in herself expects the worst not only of herself but also of others. If you have low self-confidence, you will likely have to struggle to focus on anything but yourself because you will always be worried about how you look, what others think about you, and whether you're going to fail. But when you believe in yourself, you're free to see yourself in a more objective light and focus on improving yourself and reaching your potential. And that makes all the difference. 2. Willingness to see the best in others. I've never known a positive person yet who didn't love people and try to see the good in them. And an effective way to help you see the best in others is to do what I call putting a 10 on people's heads. Here's what I mean. We all have expectations of others. But we can choose whether the expectations are negative or positive. We can think that others are totally worthless or absolutely wonderful. When we make the decision to expect the best, and we look for the good instead of the bad, we're seeing them as a 10. The ability to do this with others is significant for a couple of reasons. First, you usually see in others what you expect to see. If you constantly expect and see good things in others, it's much easier to maintain a positive attitude. Second, people generally rise to meet your level of expectation. If you treat them positively, they tend to treat you the same way. If you expect them to get the job done and you show your confidence in them, they usually succeed. And on the relatively rare occasions when people don't treat you well, it's easy for you not to take their behavior personally because you know you have done your best, and you can move on without letting it affect your attitude. 3. Ability to see opportunity everywhere. Greek philosopher Plutarch wrote, "As bees extract honey from thyme, the strongest and driest of herbs, so sensible men often get advantage and profit from the most awkward circumstances." No matter what the circumstances, positive people see opportunities everywhere. They understand that opportunities aren't based on luck or position. They are the result of the right attitude. Opportunity exists where you find it. 4. Focus on solutions. Likewise, people with a positive attitude focus their time and attention on solutions, not problems. Just about anybody can see problems. That doesn't take anything special. But positive people maintain a solution mindset, seeing a solution in every problem and a possibility in every impossibility. 5. Desire to give. Nothing has as much positive impact on people as giving to others. Carl Menninger, psychiatrist, author, and one of the founders of the Menninger Foundation, said, "Generous people are rarely mentally ill people. And they are also rarely negative people. People who have a giving spirit are some of the most positive people I know, because giving is the highest level of living. They focus their time and energy on what they can give to others, rather than what they can get from them. And the more people give, the better their attitudes." Most unsuccessful people don't understand this concept. They believe that how much people give and their attitudes about it are based on how much they have. But that's not true. I know many people who have very little but are tremendous givers. And I know people who have been blessed with money, good families, and wonderful careers who are stingy and suspicious of others. It's not what you have that makes a difference. It's what you do with what you have. And that is based completely on attitude. 6. Persistence. Don B. Owens Jr. stated, "Many people fail in life because they believe in the adage, if you don't succeed, try something else. But success eludes those who follow such advice. The dreams that have come true did so because people stuck to their ambitions. They refused to be discouraged. They never let disappointment get the upper hand. Challenges only spurred them on to greater effort. Those characteristics, the ability to stick with it, overcome discouragement, and keep going in the face of disappointment, are all the results of a good attitude. When you have a positive attitude, it's easier to be persistent. If you think success is just around the corner, you keep going. When you believe everything turns out for the best, you don't mind a little discomfort. And when everything goes haywire, you remain persistent if you have a positive attitude. After all, you believe help is already on the way. 7. Responsibility for their lives. The final characteristic of positive people is their willingness to take responsibility for their own lives. Unsuccessful people duck responsibility. But a successful person understands that nothing positive happens until you're willing to step forward and take full responsibility for your thoughts and actions. Only when you're responsible for yourself can you look at yourself honestly, assess your strengths and weaknesses, and begin to change. Top tips for getting your attitude in tip-top shape. If I could share only one thing that I possess, it would be my way of thinking, for that more than anything else has helped me the most on the success journey. Attitude has always been my greatest asset, and it can be yours too. Andrew Carnegie asserted, "The man who acquires the ability to take full possession of his own mind may take possession of anything else to which he is justly entitled." If you're constantly in a battle to keep your attitude positive, you can use some help. Here are some tips to assist you in taking full possession of your mind and making your thinking positively powerful. Claim responsibilities, not rights. A predominant source of discontent among people is caused by their fight to secure their rights. Think about your situation. Have you ever been wronged? Have there been times when you haven't gotten everything you deserved? Your answer to these questions is almost certainly yes. We live in an imperfect world, and because of that, as long as we live, we won't see a time when everything we do is rewarded justly. So you're faced with a decision. Are you going to spend your time and energy on what should have been, or are you going to focus on what can be? Even when truth and justice are on your side, you may never be able to right your wrongs. Continually fighting for your rights in an imperfect world can make you resentful, angry, hateful, and bitter. These destructive emotions sap your energy and make you negative. And besides, when you focus on your rights, you're often looking backward rather than forward. You can't make any progress when you're facing the wrong way. Glenn Clark remarked, "If you wish to travel far and fast, travel light. Take off all your envies, jealousies, unforgiveness, selfishness, and fears. Associate with positive people." Charles Tremendous Jones said that the only difference between who you are today and the person you will be in 5 years will come from the books you read and the people you associate with. Who you spend your time with especially influences your attitude. The old adage is true, birds of a feather do flock together. Think about the people you spend your time with. Although you are born into a family, and you may not be able to choose the people you work with, you can choose your closest friends. If you choose negative friends, you are also choosing to have a negative attitude. But when you spend time with positive people, you help yourself to see things in a better light. Henry Ford maintained, "My best friend is the one who brings out the best in me." Think about what your friends bring out in you, and if it's not your best, it might be time for you to make some changes. Don't take yourself too seriously. I heard a story about 3 business professionals who were comparing ideas on what it meant to be a success. "I'd say I had arrived," said the first, "if I were summoned to the White House for a private, personal meeting with the President of the United States." "To me," said the second person, "success would mean meeting with the President in the Oval Office, having the hotline ring during our talk, and watching the President ignore it." "No, you've both got it wrong," said the third one. "You're a success if you're privately consulting with the President, the hotline rings, he picks it up, and he says, 'It's for you.'" The problem with many unsuccessful people is that they take themselves too seriously. They think of success in the same way the three people in the story did. But success depends more on your attitude than it does on how important you think you are. Life should be fun. Even if your job is important and should be taken seriously, that doesn't mean you should take yourself seriously. You'll go farther in life and have a better time doing it if you maintain a sense of humor, especially when it comes to yourself. Take action to change your attitude. The quality of your life and the duration of your success journey depend on your attitude, and you are the only person in this world with the power to make it better. Dr. William Glasser maintained, if you want to change attitudes, start with a change in behavior. In other words, begin to act the part, as well as you can, of the person you would rather be, the person you most want to become. Gradually, the old, fearful person will fade away. Change requires action. Most people wait until they feel like it to change their attitudes. But that only causes them to keep waiting because they have the whole process backward. If you wait until you feel like it to try to change your attitude, you will never change. You have to act yourself into changing. An act of your will lead you to action. And your positive action will lead to a positive attitude. According to Henry Ford, whether you think you can or think you can't, you are right. The mind, more than anything else, determines how far you can go on the success journey. Steps to take along the way. How far can I go? Now is a good time to take a look at your attitude. Respond to the following questions and statements as honestly as you can. 1. Rights or responsibilities? Which am I more likely to think and talk to others about? If the answer is rights, what can I do to change that attitude? Your response. 2. People. Who is the most positive person I know? Write his or her name below. Make an appointment to talk to that person and ask what he or she does to remain positive. Your response. 3. Stress. Name some positive ways you can relieve stress, and schedule some time in the next week to do at least one of them. Your response. 4. Humor. During the next week, tell at least one person a funny story about something that you recently did wrong or an incident that made you look foolish. Enjoy the joke together. If the person is a friend and looks shocked or uncomfortable, you may have a history of taking yourself too seriously. Your response. 5. Attitude statement. Write a positive attitude creed for yourself, stating your intention to become a positive person. Your response. How do I get there from here? When was the last time you went for a Sunday drive? That's not a very popular activity these days, but it sure was when I was growing up. And it was the favorite activity of the Ramies, some wonderful neighbors I had as a kid. Mr. Ramey would say, "Come on, everybody. Let's pack up the car and go for a ride," as he rounded up the family and occasionally a neighbor kid like me who was playing over at their house. And off we would go. We lived in Circleville, Ohio, and our Sunday drives would take us to exotic places such as Lancaster, Chillicothe, or even Columbus. It seemed like a great adventure. Mr. Ramey would drive the dirt roads and highways that wound through the farms and fields of central Ohio. We never knew for sure what we might see. Those Sunday drives were fun. And if we were lucky, as we would come across a little country store on the highway, Mr. Ramey would stop the car, and we would all pile out so that he and Mrs. Ramey could buy each of us a Coke or an ice cream. It was a wonderful way to spend an afternoon. But to tell you the truth, over the years, I've met a lot of people who treat life a lot like a Sunday drive. They seem to be saying, "Let's just go and we'll see where we end up." They're willing to let life take them anywhere it wants to. I'm no scientist, but I've noticed that gravity tends to pull everything downward. And without some planning and direction, a person's life can do the same thing. I love a good adventure as much as anyone, but I'm not willing to risk squandering my potential or not fulfilling my purpose by sitting back passively and letting things happen any old way. Life is not a dress rehearsal. We get one chance, and if we don't make the most of it, we can do nothing to get our time back and try again. That's one of the reasons my wife, Margaret, and I are planners. We believe in preparation for many things in life, including taking a trip. We map out our whole itinerary because we already know about the places we want to go, the stores where we want to shop, and even some of the places we want to eat. Most travelers are only marginally organized when they take a trip. They usually get to the airport in their destination city, gather their luggage, try to get directions to their hotel, check in, get their belongings squared away, and rest up. Then they take time to think about what they want to do first. By the time they get started with the fun, they have already lost a big part of their day. In contrast, when Margaret and I travel, we have a system where we split up the duties so that we can get out of any airport quickly. And while the other travelers from our flight are trying to figure out where to pick up their luggage, we're already halfway to our first sightseeing destination. That kind of planning has always paid off. We always make the most of every moment. Whenever we talk to our friends about places in common where we've traveled, we usually find that we've taken in most of the sights they have plus a handful of other interesting places they wished they hadn't missed. If planning can bring so many rewards, imagine the power of planning the success journey. Without planning, your progress in life will be like that of a Sunday driver who may see a few interesting sights but misses out on the truly incredible journey that could have been his. Types of travelers. As I talk to people about travel while working on this book, I ask them about their method of travel planning. I found out that at one time or another, nearly everyone had been on a trip organized by someone else, a travel agent, relative, church group, or employer, but nearly all of them preferred to do most of the planning themselves. Some, like Stephanie Wetzel, have been on poorly organized trips both in and out of the country and have vowed to do all their own future planning. The more confident travelers are, the more likely they are to do more of their planning. But remarkably, when it comes to planning the journey of life, people are very different. Did you know that most people give more time to planning their vacations than they do to planning their lives? Based on the way people spend their planning time, you'd think they put in 2 weeks on the job each year and 50 on vacation. If you look at how people approach the planning process for the journey of life, I think you'll see that they fall into one of these categories. Vince the victim. Vince is very quick to tell you that it's not his fault that he isn't getting anywhere in life. He doesn't make any plans because he is busy focusing his time and energy on things outside his control, often from his past. He frequently blames others for his lack of progress and seems to be more concerned with finding excuses for failing than with seizing opportunities to grow. In his opinion, everyone and everything other than himself has made him who he is today. Foot-dragging Freddy. Freddy isn't worried too much about the past, and he doesn't want to think about the future. He is focused on the present. In fact, he loves the present so much that he is willing to do almost anything to maintain the status quo. He hates change and avoids it at all costs. If he is making any plans, they're to keep things the way they are. Debbie the dreamer. Debbie loves to plan, and she spends a lot of her time doing that. The problem is that she never turns her plans into action. She often has great ideas and says she wants to be successful, but she doesn't want to take any risks. She is not willing to pay the price required to move forward on the success journey. Motivated Michael. Finally, there is Michael. He focuses the majority of his time on the present, doing his best to maximize his potential. But one reason he is so effective today is that he spent a portion of his time yesterday planning. As a result, he is focused on his purpose, he is growing toward his potential, and he is sowing seeds that benefit others out of the positive overflow in his life. Goals draw out your sense of purpose. The number of people today who lack a strong sense of purpose is astounding. Unfortunately, lack of direction seems to be growing, not decreasing. Pulitzer Prize-winning writer Catherine N. Porter observed, "I am appalled at the aimlessness of most people's lives. 50% don't pay any attention to where they are going, 40% are undecided and will go in any direction. Only 10% know what they want, and even all of them don't go toward it." Goals give you something concrete to focus on, and that has a positive impact on your actions. As James Allen said, "You will become as small as your controlling desire, as great as your dominant aspiration." Goals help you focus your attention on your purpose and make it your dominant aspiration. They help you know where you're going. Goals give you go. Millionaire industrialist Andrew Carnegie said, "You cannot push anyone up the ladder unless he is willing to climb himself." The same is true of a person on the success journey. She won't go forward unless she is motivated to do so. Goals can help provide that motivation. Paul Meyer commented, "No one ever accomplishes anything of consequence without a goal." Goal setting is the strongest human force for self-motivation. Think about it. What is one of the greatest motivators in the world? Success. When you take a large activity, such as your dream, and break it down into smaller, more manageable parts, goals, you set yourself up for success because you make what you want to accomplish obtainable. And each time you accomplish a small goal, you experience success. That's motivating. Accomplish enough of the small goals, and you'll be taking a major step toward achieving your purpose and developing your potential. Goals not only help you develop initial motivation by making your dreams obtainable, but they also help you continue to be motivated, and that creates momentum. Once you get going on the success journey, it will be very hard to stop you. The process is similar to what happens with a train. Getting it started is the toughest part of its trip. While standing still, a train can be prevented from moving forward by 1-inch blocks of wood under each of the locomotive's drive wheels. However, once a train gets up to speed, not even a steel-reinforced concrete wall 5 feet thick can stop it. Goals get your focus on improvement, not activity. As I've mentioned before, most unsuccessful people cling to the idea that success is a destination. By now, you're beginning to see that success truly is a journey. But don't allow that knowledge to make you believe that activity alone can make you successful. It doesn't. The real key to success and to reaching your potential lies in your ability to continually improve. Activity alone does nothing for you. It can distract you from reaching your potential if it becomes a substitute for improvement. But when you set the right goals and work to reach them instead of simply staying busy, improvement is not only obtainable, it's inevitable. Goals create mile markers of progress. I mentioned before that when you have goals, you are quickly able to know when you have gotten off track. Each time you reach a goal, you can not only tell that you're making progress, but you can also see how far you have traveled. Goals are like mile markers on the success journey. People have an innate need to know what kind of progress they're making. Margaret and I got to see a vivid example of this when we took a long flight together to Asia. While we were on the plane, the screens that ordinarily show movies and pre-flight safety information were used to project a large map of the world, and they showed the current position of our plane. As time went by, and we watched the little plane on the screen make its way across the Pacific Ocean, we had a visual reminder of how much progress we were making. Creating your own roadmap. When you commit yourself to your dream and express it in achievable goals, you provide yourself with a visual reminder of where you're going and how you hope to get there. It's part of the success process. Your dream determines your goals. Your goals map out your actions. Your actions create results. And the results bring you success. To make the success journey, you have to start with a dream. But that dream will become a reality only if you bridge the gap between intentions and actions by identifying a series of goals. So how do you get started in the process of plotting goals on your roadmap for success? Just follow this roadmap. Recognize your dream. Everything starts with your dream. It's an expression of your life purpose and determines what it means for you to reach your potential. If you can articulate your dream clearly, then you can create a map for your journey. If you can't, the trip will be nearly impossible. If you have completed the questions and the steps to take along the way section at the end of Chapter 2, then you're ready to begin the process of plotting your roadmap. If you haven't, go back and do it now. You won't be successful until you know where you want to go. As President Woodrow Wilson stated, we grow by dreams. Observe your starting place. It's true that you can't begin the success journey until you know where you want to go. But you also can't be successful if you don't know where you're starting from. Both pieces of information are necessary to make the trip. As Eric Hoffer, known as the longshoreman philosopher, said, to become different from what we are, we must have some awareness of what we are, emphasis added. Start by examining yourself as honestly as you can. Look at your strengths, weaknesses, experiences, education, and resources. Once you have a sense of where you are, ask yourself the following questions. How great a distance will I have to travel? If your dream is to earn enough money to retire in 10 years, then you need to calculate exactly how much money you will need to earn to be able to achieve your goal. If your goal is to become a nurse or an engineer, then you need to contact universities to get information on programs of study, tuition costs, admission policies, and so on. No matter what you want to do, you will have to travel some distance to make it happen. You need to know how much ground you'll have to cover. What do I have working for me? No matter where you're starting from on your journey, you have some things going for you. If your dream is to own a business, a skill such as a knack for handling money will be an asset. If success to you means raising your children well, and you love kids and have the ability to teach, you're ahead of the game. Look for the things that are going to give you a head start. And don't just look at inherent abilities. Look at your circumstances, resources, and contacts. What must I overcome? You will also have some things working against you. If your dream requires you to get a college degree but you have trouble reading, that's an obstacle you're going to have to overcome. If your desire is to play professional football, but you're only 5 feet 3 inches tall and weigh 130 pounds, your physique is definitely going to work against you. No matter what your goal, hoping that your shortcomings will go away isn't going to help. You have to take an honest look at where you're starting and be prepared to overcome the obstacles. What will it cost to make the trip? Every journey has costs associated with it. These costs may be in terms of time, energy, finances, choices, sacrifices, or a combination of factors. You will have to decide whether you're willing to pay that price. Chapter 7 deals with this in more depth. As you think about your dream and measure it against your starting place, you will be able to define it more precisely. You will begin to get a clearer picture of what's important to you and what you're willing to give and give up to be successful. And you will be in a better position to identify specific goals. Articulate a statement of purpose. Once you've given more thought to your dream, and it has started to become clearer in your mind, you're ready to take another step, writing a statement of purpose for yourself based on your dream and what you intend to be doing while you're going in that direction. I guess you could call it your philosophy of travel for the success journey. Begin with the general definition of success that I gave you in Chapter 1. Success is knowing your purpose in life, growing to reach your maximum potential, and sowing seeds that benefit others. Then build on it. Your goal is to end up with a single concise statement that expresses what you want to do in your life. Your definition of success, your goals, and 80% of your daily activities should fall within the context of your purpose statement. Here are a few purpose statements as examples so that you'll know what I mean. Management expert Bob Buford, my life mission is to transform the latent energy in American Christianity into active energy. 1. Attorney/writer Freya Autumn Handsome, to offer compassionate, complete, competent services in her law practice, to write words that inspire God-pleasing changes in others, and to make her life be such that she lives to bless humankind. 2. Your purpose statement should naturally grow out of your dreams, values, and convictions. So creating it isn't a quick, one-time event. Instead, most people develop and then refine it over the course of a couple of years. As you write yours, remember not to expect perfection the first time around. Write it the best you can, and plan to make changes later as you discover more about yourself and refine the vision for your life. Define your goals. Once you have articulated your purpose, you're ready to identify your goals, your points of reference on your roadmap. They will be activities or accomplishments that you plan to complete to fulfill your purpose, develop your potential, and help others. Use the following guidelines to keep your goals on target. Goals must be written. A goal properly set is halfway reached, and a goal written is set. The process of writing down goals helps you to clarify what you intend to do, understand the importance of your goals, and commit yourself to making them happen. Writing your goals also makes you more accountable. Personal. A common mistake that people make is to identify something outside their control as a goal. For instance, many people say their goal is to win the lottery. Or they say they want their spouses to treat them better. But they have no control over these things. To be legitimate, a goal must be within your power to achieve or accomplish personally. As you write each goal, make sure it passes the test. Specific. The key to making a goal obtainable is to make it specific. Think about what would happen if you went into a restaurant and told your waiter, "I'd like food, please," when he took your order. There is no telling what you would get. The same is true when you set a goal. You have to spell out what you intend to do. And if a goal is big, break it down into smaller, more manageable tasks. You can't do what you can't express specifically. Achievable. Successful people set goals just out of reach, but not out of sight. University of South Carolina professor William Mobley said, "One of the most important things about golf is the presence of clear goals. You see the pins, you know the par, it's neither too easy nor unattainable, you know your average score, and there are competitive goals." As you identify your goals, you'll want to identify activities that will require you to work and stretch. But never put them so far out of your reach that you can't achieve them. You'll be discouraged by identifying a goal for yourself that you can't accomplish. Goals need to be motivating, not intimidating. Measurable. Goals have value only if they help you improve yourself and develop your potential. That's why they must be measurable. State your goals as objectively as possible so that you will be able to answer with a simple yes or no when you ask yourself the question, "Have I achieved this goal?" Time sensitive. A goal has been called a dream with a deadline. That's because without some kind of deadline, most goals never go from dream to reality. As you articulate each goal, write a completion date for it. If you don't, you can get into trouble. Move into action. German poet and novelist Johann Wolfgang von Goethe once said, "Thinking is easy, acting is difficult, and to put one's thoughts into action is the most difficult thing in the world." Maybe that's why so few people follow through and act on their goals. According to Greg Harris, 2/3 of people surveyed, 67 of 100, set goals for themselves. But of those 67, only 10 have made realistic plans to reach their goals. And out of those 10, only 2 follow through and actually make them happen. Point 3. The trick to acting on your goals is getting started. President Franklin D. Roosevelt remarked, "It is common sense to take a method and try it. If it fails, admit it frankly and try another. But above all, try something." That's good advice. You don't have to be perfect, you only need to make progress. Or as the Chinese proverb asserts, "Be not afraid of going slowly, be only afraid of standing still." Adjust your plans. As you act on your goals, you will need to continually review them and your progress in order to make adjustments. Some goals won't really contribute to your dream or purpose and will need to be eliminated. Others will need to be modified. And in some cases, you'll simply fail. But as President Abraham Lincoln said, My great concern is not whether you have failed, but whether you are content with your failure. As you work on achieving your goals, think about this. Although you should strive to write a purpose statement for yourself that will last a lifetime, you should plan to review and update goals on an almost continual basis. Point to success and celebrate. Finally, as you accomplish some of your goals, take the time to celebrate. You deserve it. Acknowledge your successes and build on them, always keeping in mind that your aim is not to achieve all your goals but to improve constantly. Nobel Prize-winning novelist William Faulkner urged, "Always dream and shoot higher than you know you can do." Don't bother just to be better than your contemporaries or predecessors. Try to be better than yourself. You're trying to fulfill your purpose, move toward your potential, and help others, not arrive at a destination. Retail department store founder J.C. Penney declared, "Give me a stock clerk with a goal and I will give you a man who will make history. Give me a man without a goal and I will give you a stock clerk." Penney recognized the power and importance of goals. While you work on them, they work on you. And what you get by reaching your goals is not nearly as important as what you become by reaching them. In the case of Penney, he did more than become wealthy by building a chain of 1,600 retail stores with sales topping $4 billion. He developed his potential and that of others, giving generously to charities and helping the people who worked for him. After he took his company public in 1927, he gave shares of stock to all the managers in the company and included every employee in profit sharing. It's evident that he found his purpose, grew to his potential, and sowed seeds to benefit others. He truly was successful. Over the years, as I've set goals, I've always done so loosely. I never know what's going to happen, and I need to be flexible. In my life, I've been incredibly blessed. I feel that God has been very good to me. I never expected to write a bunch of books or speak to thousands of people each year, but that's what I do. My desire has always been to make a difference in people's lives, and I have been allowed to do that. Anytime I've identified a major goal in my life, my greatest expectations have been exceeded. As you explore your dream, ponder your purpose, and identify your goals, be prepared for wonderful things to happen. There is no telling what will happen to you on the success journey. Your life may ultimately exceed your expectations. But you have to begin somewhere to accomplish your dream, and setting goals is a great place to start.